Ayo, ayo. Here we go. I'll just crack on. I'll just start playing. So this is a little trick. What it is something that is very often used by the likes of John Frusciante, was utilised by Hendrix a hell of a lot, and it gives us that. It's a kind of a soulful sound, and it's just a little, very, very simple idea and a very simple technique. I haven't got the super chat on, guys. I'm doing this through my phone, guys. I'm doing it through my phone today. So the idea behind this is what I call the hammer double stop. Good morning, Elite Combat Fitness Central from Miami, 7:40 a.m. there. It is coming up to 1:45 here in the UK. So, hi Richard. I'd just like to shout out Richard as a contributor to my beer fund, and therefore helping me to grow my beer belly in the process. Thank you very much, Richard. Hiya Phil, how are you doing? It's good to see you folks on here. Right, so this little concept, I'm actually going to play this in E major. Now, the trick with this is I'm actually going to play a G shape, and it might not look like a G shape, and this is a lesson that I probably should do, because this is a lovely chord, and if I just hold that up there, you can see what I'm doing is I'm holding down essentially an A shape there with my first finger, and then my third finger is 2 frets higher on the A string. You can see there. Now that is an inversion or a substitution. It's a really useful substitution for that full G shape. Now that would be the full G shape, and that is an E chord. Yeah. So that's an E chord. Now this a concept that I'm going to show you fits in perfectly around this idea here. So because I don't need to play that note there because it's on the 12th fret, because it's the same one. You see that? 12th fret, that's an E. If I take my finger off, it's still an E. So the thing is, means I don't have to play it, which is great, yeah, because it means we can do more with the finger that's free. So essentially, let me just tilt this down a little bit more here so that I'm not standing tiptoey on my seat there. So we're working around this area here between the 9th and the 12th fret. And what we're playing is we're actually playing the minor pentatonic pattern there, but we're starting on this note here. Now, a little thing to know is if you start on the second note of the minor pentatonic box pattern, yeah, that one there, then you end up playing the relative major pentatonic. So this is the major pentatonic, and that's an E major pentatonic, and that will fit with this lovely E chord. And like I say, if you don't know Caged, my whole thing with my channel is to really demystify Caged in chunks for you, nice little understandable bits. So that's taking a G shape. We wouldn't normally bar it because that's just awful. Yeah, so what we do is we play that first finger across there, holding down the A shape, third finger there, starting at the third of the chord, which means we get an inversion. Don't worry about that. I've got some videos coming that need editing about inversions. I've got a whole series on those. And triad families, yes, so really, really useful. So this is a great little chord. What's beautiful about it, and it's going to give you that kind of Hendrixy vibe, if I play that E to give me my root note for my E chord, then what I can do is I can slide up to that note there and then fire through the rest of the chord that I'm holding with this partial bar on the 9th fret of the D, the G and the B string. Now don't worry, because I will draw out some diagrams. I'll put them in a PDF and I'll stick them underneath, as I always do. Now I'm actually just looking at this and I'm wondering, is this back to front, guys? Let me know if this is back to front and if it's mirror image, because that's no good. because it means I'll have to reshoot the video again, because I've noticed that a lot of my videos are like that. It's fine, right, okay, so we've got that there. Now, the idea that I want you to think about is that these are double stops but with a hammer on. This is that's the whole part of the concept. And the easiest place to do it is in that pentatonic pattern. We've got these notes at the 12th fret on the B string and 12th fret of the thin E string there. So we've got those two notes there. Now, what a double stop is, it's where you stop two notes with one finger. So when you play two notes, that is a double stop, right? So we've got that concept there. Now that's half of the puzzle. But then the tricky part comes in this hammer on. And the hammer on, it's almost like playing a power chord, but it isn't. Instead of playing the third finger on the thin E string there, on the string that's lowest towards the ground, what I do is I hammer it on the B string. Now that can be tricky, because what's required is, you see my third finger there, there's my double stop, my first finger is barring across the 12th fret there. When I put that double stop on, I'm hammering down on the B string, which is above. The trick is not catching and muting out the thin E string gun underneath, because if you do that, you won't get the effect. You'll get, and you'll get that, and it's got a kind of a weeping quality. But if I leave that arch over and look at the shape of the finger, the thing is, the arch is the strongest shape in architecture. Think about it. If you have your fingers flat and flabby, they will interfere with the other strings. So this technique really demands that you arch that finger over. The first finger's fine to collapse. Look at my first finger. It's collapsed, and you can see that there's, in between my distal phalanges and this middle one here, there's 3 sections to a finger. This bit, the blood disappears. That means I'm holding it good and proper. That's what you want. That tells you if it's too far around, you'll struggle. You need to push that forward, get that knuckle prominent. Get that knuckle prominent, and then arch with that third finger. And that's the whole of the idea, really, essentially. So there's my double stop with the hammer on. But the thing is, this shape here, this is the double stop, and it's a parallel double stop here. And this gives us a fourth, yeah? When I hammer on here, this gives us a third. And thirds are really melodic. Right, so we can add that onto that there, but this isn't the only place that this fits. Now, if we think about this pentatonic pattern here, and we know that box 1 pentatonic pattern, the lower notes, you've got 2 notes per string. We know that the lower notes all fall on the same fret. They all fall across there, so you can see. So essentially, that means that's a place where I can put a double stop. If I have an opportunity to double stop, then I also have an opportunity to do this double stop with the hammer on. So if you listen to that, this one here, so I've just shifted that into the positions on my box patterns of my minor pentatonic. Where that works, I can put those in there. That's resolving up to my pentatonic. Now, it is a bit tricky when it comes to playing this idea across the G and the B string, because the thing I always mention, if I can do in every lesson, is that we have to compensate. The relationship between the G and the B string is different to all the other strings. This is why our chord shapes are as interesting as they are. And it's a beautiful anomaly, the way that it disrupts the patterns and makes, and for me, it makes you more able to exploit those variations. So what we have to do, but here, curiously, on this bit, we have the double stop. But what we're going to do is that underneath this, if I played the E major scale using the same pattern, you can see there, this note here, if I add that to that idea, then this gives us that fourth sound, which means that what we're going to do is we can implement the same thing again, only we're not getting that double stop with one finger. We're ended up using two fingers to do it, but I'm still hammering on the higher string. When I mean higher, I mean north. So I'm hammering on here, I'm holding this shape down, and it looks a bit like you could think of it as maybe as a D power chord. Yeah, there. D-shaped power chord shape there. And what I'm doing is I'm hammering that third finger on the G string there, making sure that I don't interfere with the B string. Yeah, because then there wouldn't be much point in holding that note there. So that gives me, and then I can move that up because that's in the pentatonic shape. So it's there. So you can see that becomes a kind of a chain of these ideas. And you don't have to implement it everywhere. It's a nice little flavour. And what it does, when you're playing your scales and your licks and everything else, what you need to do is you need to vary the textures and the sounds and not get married to one idea for too long, because that's when everything starts to sound samey, especially if you're basing any of you playing around a scale, because the way to think of a scale, and I love the fact that the word scale comes from scala, which means ladder. Now, if you think about a ladder, you climb up it and you go down it, but you don't use the ladder just to climb up and down it. You do it to get a job done, and that's what scales are for. They're to get a job done, and the job done is expressing what's in here through these fingers and out of your amp. So on that premise, if I take that E chord there, now curiously, and I'm going to do a video on this, there is an A chord close by here. This is actually a C shape there. You can see the C shape, but because I'm on the 12th fret, I don't need to hold that note down there, so I get this beautiful shape here. This is there's an E, there's an A, that's an E with an A in the bass, but hopefully that makes sense, guys. I will, as I usually do, write the PDF out and showing you where these are. I might even probably be useful just to put these as little tabs and maybe with a diagram, I think as well. So I'll put some tab and some diagrams as well. But that's the core of it. We have a double stop and we hammer on that higher note. Do you know what? It's a super way to play, get away from this blocky A-shaped bar chord. I'd rather play it like that. It's far more sexy. So guys, if you've got some value from this lesson, make sure you hit that subscribe, drop a comment before, hit like, do the notification bell, because as you can see, this is alive, and I didn't even know I was going to do this 10 minutes ago. So there you go. I just thought, oh, hang on, I'll just do a quick cheeky video. Hopefully you get it. If you have any questions, drop your questions below. Got more videos coming up, something to do with triads. I've got triad families. I've got some really cool stuff coming up as well that, you know, nobody else is doing, because there you go. Right, okay, I will see you again, hopefully, on here. Take care, guys. If I can finish it, there we go.